The colony was silent under the pale light of the twin suns. Out on the rugged cliffs of Erythra Prime, the wind carried dust storms that shimmered red against the barren landscape. It was a world that had once promised new beginnings, hope, exploration, and the dawn of peace between the human race and the indigenous alien population known as the Alari. But 5 years ago, everything changed for Nyra. Nyra was one of the most respected Alari warriors of her generation, a fierce protector of her people. Her body honed by rigorous training and years of ritual combat. Then came the ambush, the savage attack by a rogue faction of humans who refused the fragile peace treaty. Caught in the crossfire, Nyra's spine was shattered. The injury was catastrophic. For 5 long years, she had been confined to a hovering exoskeletal chair, unable to stand or walk, trapped by her own body in a prison of immobility. Her world had shrunk to the confines of her cliffside home, surrounded by relics of the life she used to lead. The echoes of her past were painful reminders. Her bow and blades hung on the walls, untouched. The Alari elders visited out of respect but never stayed long, sensing the despair that clung to her like a shadow. Nyra's heart was numbed, her spirit broken. The arrival. It was a typical blistering afternoon when the first human arrived on Erythra Prime in nearly a decade. His name was Captain Marcus Hale, a human engineer assigned to a joint peacekeeping mission. His orders were to assess the damage and begin rebuilding the colony's communication network, destroyed during the recent skirmishes. Marcus was unlike the other humans Nyra had known. Tall with sharp eyes and a calm demeanor. He carried no weapons, only a toolkit and an air of quiet determination. When the elders introduced him, Nyra barely looked up, dismissing the human as another irritant in her life. But Marcus was undeterred. Over the weeks, he made his way to Nyra's cliffside home daily, fixing broken communication relays and solar collectors, all the while engaging her in gentle conversation. At first, Nyra gave curt replies, wanting nothing to do with this human stranger. But Marcus was patient. He understood that healing wounds of the body were easier than healing wounds of the soul. A reason to stand. One evening, as the twin suns dipped below the horizon, Marcus noticed Nyra staring out toward the distant mountains, the faint outline of a ruined Alari outpost barely visible. "Why do you look at that place every day?" Marcus asked. Nyra's voice was hoarse from disuse. "It was my home before the war." Marcus frowned. "You were a warrior there, weren't you?" Nyra nodded. "I was meant to protect it. Instead I failed." He looked at her exoskeletal chair. "What if I told you there's a way to stand again?" Nyra laughed bitterly. "After 5 years. You're a dreamer, Captain." Marcus smiled, reaching into his bag. "I'm an engineer. I work with what's possible, not impossible." He unveiled a small device, a prototype neural stimulator designed to interface with spinal nerve clusters, bypassing damaged tissue to restore mobility. It was experimental technology, untested on any living being. Nyra's interest was piqued despite herself. "I won't promise miracles," Marcus said, "but I want to try." For the first time in years, Nyra felt something flicker inside her, a fragile ember of hope. The struggle. The initial trials were grueling. The stimulator sent faint electrical pulses into Nyra's damaged spine, but her muscles had wasted away, and her nervous system barely responded. Days blurred into nights as Marcus adjusted the device, refining the connection. Nyra endured pain like fire, her body trembling with spasms. There were moments she wanted to give up, when tears streaked down her cheeks and despair clawed at her resolve. But Marcus never left. He sat by her side, reminding her that every small progress was a victory. He shared stories from Earth about his daughter, the stars, and the promise of new beginnings. Slowly, Nyra felt small twitches in her legs. The sparks of sensation grew stronger with each passing week. One afternoon, her fingers brushed the armrest of her chair with newfound strength. Marcus caught the movement, his eyes bright with excitement. "You did that," he said softly. "No," Nyra whispered, her voice trembling. "You did." Reclaiming strength. With Marcus's device and relentless encouragement, Nyra began physical therapy. The exoskeletal chair was replaced with a reinforced walker. Her first steps were shaky and painful, her body reluctant to obey commands it hadn't heard in years. Yet she persisted. The colony watched in awe as the once paralyzed warrior took her first faltering steps down the cliffside path. Children who had heard tales of her strength now saw her vulnerability and resilience. The elders blessed her journey, the tribe's faith rekindled by her determination. Marcus became a constant companion, not just a healer or engineer, but a friend who understood the complexities of pain and hope. The hidden threat. But peace was fragile. Word reached Nyra that the rogue human faction was planning a renewed attack on the colony, intending to sabotage the fragile alliance between humans and Alarie. They saw her recovery as a threat, a symbol of unity and resistance. Nyra knew she had to act. Standing was no longer just about her body. It was about standing for her people, her home, and the future. With Marcus by her side, Nyra rallied the defenders. Using her regained mobility, she led reconnaissance missions into the wild Red Plains, uncovering the rogue faction's plans. Marcus engineered defensive systems to protect the colony's perimeter. The final confrontation came under the twin suns, dust swirling and weapons clashing. Nyra, armed with her old bow and renewed strength, fought alongside human and Alarie allies. The battle was fierce, but the coalition held. New dawn. When the dust settled, Nyra stood atop the cliffs once more, the wind playing through her hair. Beside her, Marcus looked out over the colony, pride in his eyes. "You gave me a reason to stand," Nyra said softly. "No," Marcus replied. "You gave yourself that reason. I just helped you find the path." The bond between them symbolized more than recovery. It was a beacon of hope for two species learning to walk together into a shared future. Nyra took a deep breath, feeling the strength in her legs and the fire in her heart. The scars of 5 years were still there, but they no longer defined her. She was a warrior reborn, standing tall because she chose to fight, not just for herself but for everyone who believed in peace. The twin suns rose on a new day.